Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, inbies, theys and thems, welcome, please, to Ridiculous Life of a Clown. I'm your host, Gherkin Picklewater, and in this ongoing series, I have probing discussions with clowns, acrobats, trapeze artists, buffoons, mimes, musicians, and educators, all of whom were drawn to circus as an art form and a career. Please join us approximately every other week as we delve into the minds of professional merrymakers for in-depth conversations about the absurd, ridiculous, absolutely serious craft of circus and clown, here on Ridiculous Life of a Clown.
All right, I'm Calvin Kai Ku. I'm a clown. I also am a magician and actor. I started out doing theater and I got into circus through the Clown Conservatory of San Francisco. Did that program for a couple of years. That led into doing the acrobatic program, and from there I've been developing what I could create as an artist, performing artist, and then as I continued on, I started working more as a clown, as a magician, and also then started working as a medical clown with the Medical Clown Project, and developing in that world for the last 8 years, and here we are today, still doing it.
Okay, well, I guess that covers everything. So what brought you going all the way back to acting in the first place?
It was actually, I was studying computer engineering in college at UC Santa Cruz, and I was sitting there in front of a computer every single day, studying programming, all the languages of computers, and trying to understand what it is that I wanted to do with it, and I was just stuck in this environment where no one necessarily interacted on a human level, and I was invited to start taking these not necessarily classes, but it was like these student get-togethers. It was a friend of mine, Leslie Ramos, who saw how I kind of interacted with other people, and she's like, you should come join us and be part of our student group of performers, and we do a lot of improv, and we do a lot of storytelling, and so I started going to this little kind of student club that was created, and from that point I just kept going and starting to love going to this club where we did play improv games, and we came up with fun skits and did sketch comedy, and really appreciated that whole world, and I kept doing it over the years. That led me to deciding, you know what, I need to just drop computer engineering, and in my senior year of college I switched my major to theater, so and I ended up getting my BA in theater. Stayed an extra year of college to complete it. Then I was introduced to clowning through Patty Gallagher, who's at UC Santa Cruz, and she's got a tenure there, and from that point she's also a graduate of the Clown Conservatory. So
we wanted to get her on the podcast for a while, but we just haven't been able to work it out. Rolling backwards for a complete tangent.
Sure.
What were you studying in computer science? What languages were you learning at the time?
I was doing computer engineering, and in that sense, I was working with microprocessors, being able to create programs. Basically, it's the hard. Like, let me give you the really short version of it, but it's basically focusing on the hardware side of things, and the chips, boards, and processors, and that sort of stuff.
So magic has always been kind of an underlying theme of part of what you do. Was magic something that started in childhood, or that came later on?
Let me tell you the story of how I was introduced to magic, and it was at a friend's house. It was my mom's friend who is a nurse, the coworkers, and they had a family, and we would always go to their place for Thanksgiving. And when we went over there one time, they had this magic box type of thing, and there's little drawers and all kinds of mirrors and such. And at one point, I took this little red ball, right? I put it inside one of these in a drawer, and I closed the drawer. And when I opened it, it was gone. And it just, as like a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, I was just blown away by what just happened. I had no idea what was going on with this thing, and I realized it was magic that I was looking at. And from that point, I just kind of hit the ground running, going, I want more of it. I want more. I was just so hungry for it. And I eventually saw in this magazine called, I think it's like, it's not the exact words, but it's like weirdest things you never knew existed. It was like, that's the title of this magazine. And in this magazine was a magical deck of cards that claimed it did a million different baffling tricks that you can fool your friends with. And I was so excited about it, I wanted to get it, and I ended up like mowing the lawn, vacuuming, everything I can to get this special deck of cards that was probably like $15.
Was it like a Bengali deck, or?
It was a special deck of cards that I don't want to give away the secrets, Abraham.
Well, that's not the name doesn't give away the secrets. I mean, like I can like any idiot with an amazing
sure
brain. I can work as a Bengali deck. I can probably work a stripper deck.
Sure, it was one of those.
I can do some close up myself. Right now, I'm trying to work on things close up that I can do while balancing an umbrella on my nose or on top of my head.
Okay.
Which is really, it's really hard to split your focus because you know whenever you're balancing, you've got to keep that fixed point. Even if you're not looking at the thing, you've got to keep your visual focus and part of your mind occupied on keeping that thing swaying within a certain set of parameters. Yeah. And so also doing something complicated with your hands. Like, I can play the concertina while doing it, but that's so muscle memory that it doesn't require, any mental effort, and I'm just not good enough with the slide, with the physical stuff to do them both.
So it sounds like you're using the umbrella, balancing the umbrella as a form of misdirection. You can almost even do where there's something that's supposed to happen, a special move you're trying to cover, and then you can accidentally, almost lost that umbrella, but catching it at the same time.
That is far more thought than I put into it. I'm just looking for extra things I can do with the umbrella because the number of tricks I can do with it is really, really limited, especially in the space in which I'm using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you still use magic as part of your performance primarily now, or is it kind of moved to the back burner?
Oh no, it hasn't ever gone away. I perform a lot as a magician. There's certainly using magic in circus, but also magic on its own as a magician, but also it's almost like the reversal, right? So a lot of in terms of circus goes, I like to have elements of magic in the storytelling as a clown, but in the world of me performing as a magician, I perform as a magician, but add elements of circus and clowning in my performance as a magician, rather than being just kind of that whole magician trying to take myself too seriously.
Portland was just overflowing with very serious. Like every restaurant had tableside magicians.
Oh yeah,
in Portland. Is that a thing down here in the Bay Area where restaurants have house magicians?
I don't think it's as common as
it was super common up in the Pacific Northwest, and I saw some really, really great stuff over the time that I was there.
Cool.
So I'm just going to jump around in your career a lot. Medical Clown Project. How did you? No, let's go back to the Clown Conservatory. You met Patty Gallagher. I assume you took some clown classes with her at USC.
At UC Santa Cruz,
Santa Cruz. What was the transition from UC to Clown Conservatory?
Sure, it was actually, I almost had, not necessarily not a choice, but it was a desire that I wanted to go to Clown Conservatory, A. But B, Patty Gallagher said to Jeff Raz, the the former director of the Clown Conservatory and founder, he Patty Gallagher said to him, "If you don't take Calvin in the Clown Conservatory, I don't know if we can be friends." And this is what Jeff said to me.
Nice.
And I was like, that's such a raving review or recommendation, if you will. And I just had to do the Clown Conservatory, so
when I applied, I had like the opposite experience. Like Peggy, who I love dearly from the bottom of my heart, Peggy Ford.
We love her.
About a third of the way through my audition, she turned, looked out the window, and never looked back again. She, as far as I can tell, absolutely hated my audition.
Gosh.
Like I think it was Jeff alone who decided I was worth bringing in, and Peggy and I became good friends and loved her dearly right up to the end. But yeah, very very different experience. Yeah. What was your did you audition? What was your audition like?
I auditioned with a video. I sent in a video. It was a video that I did of some clown routines I was working on with John DeLine, as you may know from Pie Clowns, and we did a clown act together in the clown class that was at UC Santa Cruz with Patty Gallagher. So we had it. We went into. We have a baby in the background. Yeah. That's the Gentile family there. But we so we had this clown act that we did for that clown class, and we went into one of the studios at UC Santa Cruz. We had a few people there as an audience to kind of give a feel of an audience, and we did our act, and we were able to get that filmed, and I sent that in to the Clown Conservatory. So
you did the Clown Conservatory 2 years or just one?
So I did the first year, which was the full, just the general Clown Conservatory. This is learning how to juggle, learning the clown entrees, all of that, the overview, right? And then the second year program, which I don't think they do anymore, it was this advanced Clown Conservatory program in which you developed a show, you produced a show, and you worked on the show basically the whole year, and then you would tour it at the end of the year. And we did Alice in Wonderland, the clown version of Alice in Wonderland.
I booked that.
Yes.
At one point, and it was excellent. Yeah, I came and photographed you guys once, and then booked you guys to a performance at one of the park I was doing event production for, and that was a really good show. Yeah, that was I think Golden Gate Park. I think Yerba Buena. There we go. Yeah, that was a really fun show to do, and I learned a lot about touring. Just it was a very, very small piece of touring, but learned a lot about the whole mobility of it. Yeah, my year they didn't offer that as the second year program. I don't think they really figured out what the advanced program was going to be yet.
Yeah.
So I pretty much spent the whole time in Bath studying improv, which I was terrible at, and I didn't develop any skill at all for improv until many, many years after leaving the Clown Conservatory. But I really envy that whole core of the education that a lot of people got of creating and building a show from the ground up and touring with it, because I think that is a skill a lot of people don't have, and a lot of performers would kill to develop.
Yeah, certainly I remember from a lot of the experience of packing up and making sure you have all your props, as you're going from place to place. Certainly learned a lot in that process that helped me down the road of now working with Circus Bella, setting up our show, tearing it down, and making sure all your props are still good in the process of moving around and loading in a truck and taking out of a truck, and making sure it's all still pristine.
So one of the bunch of hats that you wear is you are the director of the Medical Clown Project?
Yes. So, ED of the Medical Clown Project.
Director. Yeah. Even fancier.
Oh.
So talk about going into the MCP and the progression up into running it.
Yeah, back in 2010, that was when the Medical Clown Project began. They had a pilot program, and I think I was on the second pilot program, and it was a 3-month period of working at CPMC, California Pacific Medical Center, and pairing up with a few other clowns who were volunteering to be part of this new project that Jeff was working on, Jeff Raz. And it was very wonderful to be able to learn about performing in a hospital. So this was 2010-ish, around that time. And over the years, we were just I was on this ride of just being a clown and part of their organization, and we would have these meetings to get updated on what was going on behind the scenes working with the hospitals, and make sure that we can have us be able to go there on a consistent basis, and if we did go there on an ongoing consistent basis, are we going to get paid for it? Or are we just going to be volunteering the whole time? But eventually we were able to get some funding through the foundation. We were at CPMC, and also our wonderful donors throughout the years who were able to support the organization. And over time, it started to grow, and Jeff and Sherry Sherman, who was a clinical psychologist, was able to really develop the language of describing what medical clowning really was there in a therapeutic sense, as a therapeutic modality. So with that combination of Jeff's push of getting the best clowns in the Bay Area to combining that with the whole aspect of what clowning actually does for people, and in comedy and laughter and smiling and all that wonderful outcome of what that performance can do, it really allowed us to be where we are today, where we're now performing in 3 different locations. And
that's nice.
And
do you know Dr. Fry from Stanford, his work, Dr. Stephen Fry? He's done a great deal of research on specifically how laughter affects your hormonal system and your cortisol system.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing stuff. Medical clowning is something that's always found really appealing and interesting. So, So how did you end up being the ED? Yeah.
So it was through this incredible process of developing as a medical clown and learning about it and understanding it. It got to a point where actually Jeff and Sherry were interested in finding a new director, someone who can take over the organization and take it somewhere else. They felt like they put from what I understand, that they put in a certain amount of time and energy into it, and they wanted to see where else it can go, and so they wanted to step down and find someone else to take it take over. And at first I was slightly interested in it. It was just because I was more of thinking about how can we keep this thing going. Like, I'm interested in wanting to make sure it keeps going, and I just felt so passionate about the work over the years that I wanted to see what I could do with it, and it was something that I was like, well, I've done a lot of things. This is one thing I have never done before, being a director of a nonprofit, right? There's so many things about it, and I'm very passionate about the vision of where medical clowning can go, that I wanted to see what are the possibilities of what can we do as an organization to help with this specific work. But that also means that there's all this other areas of fundraising and development of an organization as a whole, and marketing, like all these different things that I had to learn along the way. But I was just so passionate about it that I wanted to see what being in that position, what that would do, how it could help.
So, how do you have the time for that and Bella at the same time?
It's a lot of certainly a lot of building of systems. Like I don't sleep really. No, I try and build systems. I have I also have a wonderful team of people around me. It's incredible to be able to work with people who are just really good at what they do. Like our clowns we used to have all these meetings that we have to do, and I want to have a lot more meetings, but I do feel comfortable enough that I know that we schedule them to go in and they know what they're going to do. They're going to do a good job. I'm not there to manage them. I had an amazing director for a show I was doing at Great America Theme Park, and one of the things I remember her saying was hire the best and step back. So I'm working on that philosophy, and I've hired some amazing people who are able to just work on their own. We have an amazing board of directors who have been able to really help get this organization in the right direction. There's a lot of times I'm like, I don't really know if this is the right decision. I have to make these decisions, and I'm able to consult with them, and they are so good at understanding the big picture that they can help guide me in that way. So there's the team that helps me with it, and then there's also just once again I was talking about the systems, right? So I've been working on making sure that I I can figure out like what time I need to have breakfast, and and that's like really specific things that really help me stay on task and just making sure I get my deadlines in a way where I'm not putting out fires, but like getting things done well ahead of deadlines. And that wasn't always the case for me. I was always kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, and I still do to a certain extent because that allows for kind of creative freedom. But at the same time, these days I've been trying to be more focused on a regimen. Yeah.
I mean, it's all about continuing to develop professionalism throughout your career.
Yeah.
You can always be more professional than you are.
Yeah.
So let's roll back to Circus Bella. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, it was a wonderful thing back in 2015-ish, 14, 15. I had just done the summer gig down in San Diego. I was working for SeaWorld and doing their circus show, and it was a wonderful experience and wonderful people. And they had a thing where I was expecting to go back on to the show, but they were restructuring certain how they with the hiring process. So it got a little complicated, basically, and I decided I wouldn't be able to do. I decided I didn't want to do the show again, and so I was thinking, well, what am I going to do in the summer now? And Circus Bella had just put out a notice asking for sending tapes for auditions for new artists, and I had known Abigail for a long time, and I also known a lot of the performers of Circus Bella. So I sent an email saying I'm interested and I would love to be a part of it, and I was welcomed with warm arms, and I was very happy to be a part of it. So starting 2015, that was my first season, and just haven't stopped ever since.
That's great.
Yeah.
So some more esoteric stuff. What would you say is the weirdest gig you've done?
I know very well actually what that weird gig would be, and that would be the gig, kind of like the very first gig when I started gigging in general, which is I don't know if your listeners know about the gig world, but in generally it's just a bunch of one-off events. You just do one day, one night, whatever time period of time of the day it will be. Yeah, you do one little circus thing or magic thing. So this one-off gig, this little corporate gig I had, was I dressed up as Mercury for Valentine's Day, and I was painted all in gold. I wore underwear that went up my butt crack, and
Do you have little wings on your feet?
And I had wings on my feet. And I was basically the statue just in the small little corridor where the foot traffic was very few and far between. So I'm just standing there in this corridor, seeing maybe 2-3 people every 5 minutes, and freezing my butt off in this, just thinking, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I doing this? And these are those moments early on in one's career where you go, I'm paying my dues. This is me paying my dues.
Nice. That's a great idea to have about it.
And eventually, actually, this company who hired me hired me out for so many other gigs as a magician later on, and still does.
Was it Greg Angelo?
Greg Angelo's
I guess for the costume
yes.
that it was a Greg Angelo.
Yeah,
I mean that's what they are known for the costuming. And
but I love them over there, and they certainly wanted to hire me for something, and they didn't really know what at the moment, and that so they didn't really know my history, but. Yeah. But after that one gig, they were like, okay, I think this guy's we can hire him out. So I was very thankful for that.
So again, we're on the esoteric questions because we're getting towards the end. When you're creating a piece of work, before you put it in front of an audience, before you get eyes on it, what are your standards for knowing that it's good, that you're going in the right direction? How do you gauge your own work before you actually get it in front of an audience?
If I know it very well as far as the structure goes, first, like the backbone kind of an act, I know the beginning, middle, and end, I'll actually perform it, right? I don't necessarily know it's going to be good until I go in front of an audience. Like there's no way about it. Luckily, in the situation that I'm in, I have opportunities to be able to try out new material. So mixed with material that I already know, that already has been seasoned. I've been doing it for years. For example, on September 7th, if you want to come see me perform, I'm performing at the Oakland Museum. I believe it's around at 6:30 or so. I'll be going on as a opener for a band, and I'll be doing kind of the 30-minute show. But in that situation, I'm actually going to be putting out a lot of the material that I already know, but I'm going to put in new material that allows me to be able to allow me to work on new material and develop it. In those situations, that's how I'm able to gauge whether or not something is good. I put it into something in a situation where I can still be successful, where I can still perform and do everything that I already know is great, but then throw in these things where okay, I'm just working on this one thing. So I'm just like working on this one thing, right? And then mix it in with things that are known.
Nice. Okay, so influences. What are the media that influences you? The performers, the books, the plays, the movies, the music, whatever it is. What are the media that influences you the most at this point in your career?
I would say yes.
Yes.
All of it.
The band, yes.
I think everything. No, everything. It's like, no, it's you named it all, and it certainly is something that I pay attention to, and I mean, one of the things that keeps me moving forward is the state of who we are as artists. We must be able to listen to the world around us and be able to be the reflection of the world around us. And I come deeply from that point of view. I think it's important for artists to be able to do that. Of course, there's that form of entertainment, right? There's the entertainment value of it. So what is entertainment then in that way? Well, we have a lot of humor that we can all relate to, that doesn't, or entertainment that we can all relate to and see the wonder of certain performances, and just strictly just put it just on its pedestal of this is an amazing thing, right? And we can all relate that is an amazing thing. But then there's also this other area of reflecting upon our world as artists. So I would say the influences would be listening to the Legos that are being scrambled around us, but also but also listening to what's going on in the world, being able to interact with people and kind of getting to the nitty gritty of human relationships, and how do we use that in storytelling, in theater. I mean, you can obviously, like when I'm saying this, you can see that I come from a theatrical background. So those are my influences.
All right, couple more questions. If you have to tag 3 other clowns to be on this podcast after you, not even clowns, just
Yeah.
we're stretching out to circus in general now.
Yeah.
So 3 other circus performers to be on the podcast after you, who would they be?
Yeah, I would have to say I'm gonna go directly to my medical clowns. I have a whole 10 of them that I work with that are all wonderful people who you definitely would love to interview, and they have such incredible backgrounds, and I'm always in awe of them and inspired by them. Should I name them all?
Sure.
All right, from the top.
Give us their names.
All right, let me go. Let's see if I can get all of them. It's easier for me to write these down because I can know which ones I checked off already, but I'll do my best. Here we go. We got Amelia Van Brunt. We have Ross Travis.
Had Ross Travis.
Yeah.
Want Amelia very much.
Yeah. We got Tyler Parks. We have Joan Howard. We have Sheraton. We have Julie Douglas. We have Josh Matthews. We have Hannah Gaff. Who else? Two more. Oh, the pressure.
Are you one of the 10?
I am one of the 10.
Okay,
that's
so
right.
So one more.
You're
only missing one person. They're going to hate you forever. You don't remember their name.
Oh my god. This is terrible. I'm like trying to review all the people who I've said. This is so bad. We have Brenda Arellano. There we go,
Brenda.
Yes.
Most important.
And actually, and Doyle Ott.
And Doyle.
Doyle Ott, yeah.
Okay, finally, you already dropped a little bit of this, but where can people find you if they want to find you?
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me at calvinkaiku.com. Another way to actually put in my website is actually just kuentertainment.com.
Okay.
Kuentertainment.com.
And you said coming up on September 7th?
September 7th, you can come see me at the Oakland Museum. I'm also going to be performing at the Bodega Seafood and Wine Festival, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And if you happen to go to a tech conference, trade show, I might be there performing as a trade show magician.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Calvin Kai Ku, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today on Ridiculous Life of a Clown. This program, as always, is made possible by your support through our Patreon, which you can find through www.picklewater.com. Also, please join us this coming January 27th, 2018 at 7 p.m. at Stageworks Theater in San Francisco for a huge circus gala featuring clowns, comedians, and burlesque dancers, all in benefit of Planned Parenthood. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.